On April 28, 1961, the President of the United States, John F. Kennedy, in a message to the American public, said in part that common prudence demands that we take all necessary measures to protect our homes, our institutions, and our way of life so that they may survive should an enemy thrust war on us. Mr. Frank B. Ellis, National Director for the Office of Civil and Defense Mobilization, following President Kennedy's message, also made the following comment. Every measure taken now by you and your family, your city and state authorities, and the federal government reduces the likelihood of nuclear war. Peace cannot be taken for granted.
The H-bomb. The H-bomb. Flash of brightness. The tremendous roar.
And I, the complacent American, thinking that no one would ever dare attack an American city. And I told my friends that nuclear warfare, this would never happen. But it did. I always thought I was a good American. Patriotic and civic. But I was wrong. I failed myself and my country. Now I remember. Today I had just returned to Target City from an extended business trip. Now I can see how my complacency caused my death. I can see people alive in the fallout shelters. Had I learned the rules as set forth by the Office of Civil Defense, I would be alive and in that shelter now. You have only one chance, never two. How simple it looked. Those who knew what to do and where to go are still amongst the living. I had my opportunity. But I was the complacent American. And I said this city where I died would never fear nuclear attack. After all, this is the USA. I'm going to try and retrace the events that took place, to see how my unpreparedness, my lack of readiness caused my death. Maybe others will benefit from this. I remember how good I felt as the jet was landing in Target City. It was exactly 1 hour before the H-bomb blew. I remember leaving the airport for my office in downtown Target City. And regarding the H-bomb attack, I can't remember any major incident other than a newscaster referring to our continuing Cold War. I noted how typical our activities were as I compared them to the other cities I had visited during my business trip. First, the suburbs and our new housing projects under construction. Then, entering the residential area, everything seemed to be its normal self. Just as I approached the elementary school, I remember the noontime bell ringing. The children rushing, playing games while on their way home for lunch. Those poor children. Where are they now? Entering our new multi-million-dollar freeway, first the high-speed traffic. Drivers speeding and hurrying for no other reason than speed itself. Then the accident. The skidding of tires and clash of metal is so vivid in my memory. The traffic slowing up to see what happened. The driver, seeing the accident, becomes somber. Not driving fast now. But in a few minutes they have forgotten the accident and again begin to speed. The baseball stadium has been completed, and as I pass, I remember I have tickets for tomorrow night's game. I know now there will be no tomorrow night, because death does not attend a baseball game. The fire at the interchange as I turned off the freeway, the fire and all that fire equipment responded. This was the industrial area. I could see the blaze being put out by the firemen. Nothing serious, but because it was in the industrial area, many fire trucks responded. All this excitement caused by this blaze, I can see, is only a grain of sand compared to the horrors of the H-bomb. Downtown was its usually busy self. Throngs of men and women were going to lunch. We at Target City were proud of our new metropolitan look because for the past several years we were uprooting the old landmarks and creating new and modern buildings. All the restaurants and cafeterias were filled to capacity. Many people were waiting their turn in line. The horror to come now makes me shudder because I'm unable to warn anyone. How ironical now that it's too late. There is my clue that I've looked for. I see many civil defense air raid signs all about town. And only because of my complacency, I hadn't noticed them before. Glancing at the time, I see there are only 10 seconds before the alert siren will go on. There goes the alert siren. I see the people in the city have 9 minutes to take shelter and follow the rules of civil defense. I see my indifference to the siren going off. Actually, I felt like a great many others felt. Irritated. We, of course, didn't know this was not a drill, but real. The taking for granted test drill was my first mistake. It was then I had spoken out loud, criticizing civil defense. I had said, "Now can't those civil defense guys sound that siren some other time? Here it is in the middle of the lunch hour and those guys have to test the equipment now." And then I remembered a civil defense meeting I had promised to attend. And I told Helen, my wife, what a waste of time. Besides, I was going to bowl that night anyway. So I bowled and never did get to learn anything about civil defense.